You did not arrive here by chance. Heaven has guided your steps to this very moment, because a powerful breakthrough is being prepared for your life. If you are facing locked situations, closed doors, delays, confusion, or problems that seem impossible to solve, this urgent prayer is for you. Today, we cry out together to Mary, undoer of knots, and Saint Michael the Archangel, asking for divine intervention where no human solution remains. Do not be distracted. Stay focused, because what is bound will be loosened, and what is blocked will begin to move. This is not just another prayer. This is a moment of decision, faith, and surrender. Pray with your heart open and your spirit attentive, because God is about to act. Before we begin, take a second to support this mission of faith. Like this video, subscribe to Holy Catholic Prayers, and click the button to hype and boost this prayer so it can reach more souls in need. This simple action is also an act of evangelization. In the comments, write, "Mary, undo my knots," and tell us where you are watching from as a sign of your Catholic devotion and unity in prayer. Let us raise this cry together as one family of faith. Now, quiet your heart, place your intentions before God, and prepare to pray with urgency, trust, and total confidence in heaven's help. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Beloved Mother Mary, undoer of knots, today I place before your immaculate hands every knot that binds my life. Knots of delay, confusion, fear, stagnation, and despair that seem impossible to untangle. You who see what is hidden and understand what weighs silently upon my heart, look with compassion upon my locked situations and closed doors. Intercede for me before your Son, Jesus Christ, with your gentle and powerful love, and begin now to loosen what human strength could never resolve. Mary, tender Mother and faithful intercessor, I surrender to you the knots of my past and present, the mistakes that still haunt me, the wounds that never fully healed, and the choices that brought pain. Untie the knots of guilt, regret, and shame that imprison my soul. Free my heart from anxiety and my mind from endless worries. Where there is confusion, bring clarity. Where there is fear, bring peace. Where there is paralysis, restore movement and hope so I may walk forward again. Saint Michael the Archangel, mighty warrior of heaven, rise now in defense of my life. Stand before every obstacle that blocks my progress and every force that resists God's plan for me. With your sword of divine justice, cut through every spiritual chain and drive away all darkness, deception, and resistance working against my breakthrough. Protect my mind, my body, and my soul from visible and invisible enemies, guarding my path as I walk through uncertainty. Mary, undoer of knots, I bring before you the situations that seem frozen in time, problems that do not move, answers that do not come, and doors that remain sealed. I ask you to touch these knots with your maternal hands and untangle what is tangled in my family, my work, and my inner life. Restore harmony where there is division and peace where there is turmoil, and teach me to trust even when I do not yet see results. Saint Michael, defender of God's people, shield me from discouragement and despair, and do not allow me to give up while the miracle is being prepared. Strengthen my faith when my strength feels exhausted, and help me stand firm against doubt, fear, and spiritual attacks. Let no evil voice confuse my heart or weaken my resolve, but cover me with your heavenly protection and lead me safely toward the victory God has promised. Together, Mary and Saint Michael, I entrust to you my most urgent intentions, those I speak aloud and those I carry silently within my soul. I believe that no knot is too tight and no battle too great for heaven. I place my life under your care and intercession, trusting that what is locked will soon be opened, what is bound will be loosened, and what seems impossible will be transformed by divine grace. Mary, undoer of knots, loving mother who never abandons her children, I come before you carrying the weight of situations that feel completely locked, delayed, and beyond my control. circumstances that steal my peace and make my heart restless day and night. You know the struggles I face, the silent tears I cry, and the prayers I repeat when hope feels distant. I ask you now to gently touch the knots that bind my destiny, the fears that paralyze my decisions, and the uncertainties that cloud my vision. Untangle every inner conflict, every emotional wound, and every relationship strained by misunderstanding and pain. Where there is tension, bring reconciliation. Where there is silence, restore dialogue. Where there is confusion, grant divine clarity. Lead me patiently through this process, trusting that your maternal hands are already working even when I cannot see immediate results. Saint Michael the Archangel, faithful defender of God's people, I call upon you in this moment of spiritual battle and uncertainty, asking you to stand guard over my life and my future. Drive away every force that seeks to block my progress, every spiritual resistance, and every negative influence that tries to delay God's promises. With the authority given to you by heaven, break every chain of stagnation, discouragement, and fear that surrounds me. Protect my thoughts from doubt, my heart from despair, and my path from deception. Place yourself before every closed door and prepare the way for God's will to unfold. Let your presence bring courage, strength, and the certainty that I am not alone in this fight. Mary, Mother of Hope, I entrust to you the knots tied to my family life, my finances, my work, and my personal growth, situations that seem stuck and repetitive, as if nothing ever changes. Untie the knots of financial pressure, delayed answers, rejected applications, and opportunities that never arrive. Open paths where there seem to be none and align my life with the divine plan prepared for me. Remove impatience from my heart and replace it with trust, perseverance, and calm. Teach me to wait without anxiety and to believe without fear. May every locked situation begin to move according to God's perfect timing, bringing stability, provision, and renewed hope. Saint Michael, Prince of the heavenly armies, fight against every form of spiritual oppression, envy, jealousy, curse, and negative intention directed toward my life, whether known or hidden. Do not allow any attack to prosper or any scheme to succeed against me or my family. Defend my reputation, my work, and my future from lies and injustice. Surround me with heavenly protection and seal my life with divine authority. Let every attempt to confuse, delay, or harm me be undone by the power of God. May truth prevail, peace be restored, and my path remain firmly guided by light, not darkness. Mary, undoer of knots, I place into your hands the fears that live deep within me, fears of failure, rejection, loss, and uncertainty about tomorrow. Untie these knots gently and replace them with faith, courage, and inner peace. Heal the emotional wounds that prevent me from moving forward and trusting fully in God's plan. Help me release control and surrender everything that burdens my soul. Let my heart rest in the certainty that heaven is attentive to my cry. Strengthen my spirit so I may walk forward without fear, knowing that each step is guided by divine love and maternal care. Saint Michael, protector and guide, stand beside me as I move forward in faith, even when circumstances seem unchanged. Give me perseverance when answers delay and strength when my patience is tested. Teach me to resist discouragement and remain firm in prayer. Guard my steps so I do not retreat or lose hope along the way. Inspire me to act with wisdom and confidence as doors begin to open. Lead me toward the victory prepared by God, and help me recognize each sign of grace as confirmation that heaven is actively working on my behalf. Mary, undoer of knots, compassionate mother who understands the depth of human suffering, I bring before you the knots that have formed through long seasons of waiting, disappointment, and unanswered prayers, situations that seem to mock my faith and test my endurance. You see how often I have tried to move forward only to feel pulled back by fear, doubt, or repeated failure. I ask you now to untangle the knots of discouragement that whisper that nothing will change and that my efforts are in vain. Touch my heart with your maternal tenderness and remind me that delays are not denials, but part of a greater plan unfolding in silence. Restore my confidence, renew my inner strength, and help me trust that God's timing is perfect even when my heart grows weary. Saint Michael the Archangel, vigilant guardian of souls, I invoke your powerful presence to confront every invisible battle surrounding my life, battles that drain my energy and cloud my discernment. Stand against every spirit of confusion, heaviness, and resistance that seeks to keep me trapped in cycles of stagnation. With the authority entrusted to you by God, break every stronghold that blocks my progress and weakens my resolve. Defend my mind from intrusive thoughts, my heart from despair, and my spirit from spiritual fatigue. Let your heavenly strength surround me like armor, giving me clarity to see the path ahead and courage to walk it without fear. Mary, Mother of Divine Providence, I place into your hands the knots related to my professional life, my financial struggles, and the constant pressure to survive in uncertain times. Untie the knots of lack, debt, instability, and closed opportunities that weigh heavily on my soul. Open doors that no human effort has been able to unlock and guide me toward honest work, dignified provision, and sustainable growth. Remove anxiety about tomorrow and teach me to rely fully on God's care. May my efforts be blessed, my work bear fruit, and my life be aligned with opportunities that bring peace rather than exhaustion. Let abundance flow not only materially, but also emotionally and spiritually. Saint Michael, defender of justice and truth, rise against every injustice, false accusation, betrayal, and hidden opposition that seeks to delay my advancement or destroy what I am building. Protect my name, my intentions, and the integrity of my actions. Do not allow lies or manipulation to prosper against me. Expose what is hidden and bring light where there is deception. Surround me with divine favor and right connections that support God's purpose in my life. May every plan formed against me fall apart and every obstacle raised by malice be removed by the authority of heaven. Mary, undoer of knots, I entrust to you the knots that bind my emotions, the inner conflicts that steal my peace and keep me awake at night. Untie the knots of sadness, loneliness, emotional dependency, and fear of abandonment. Heal the wounds caused by broken relationships, unmet expectations, and words that left scars on my heart. Teach me to love without fear and to trust without constant anxiety. Restore balance to my emotions and serenity to my soul. May your gentle presence calm my thoughts and remind me that I am deeply loved, protected, and never forgotten by God. Saint Michael, faithful companion in spiritual warfare, walk with me as I continue this journey of faith and perseverance. Strengthen me when the road feels long and the answers seem distant. Help me remain steadfast in prayer and confident in God's promises. Guard me from impatience and despair, and teach me to recognize every small victory along the way. Prepare my heart to receive the breakthroughs that are coming and guide me safely through every transition. May I move forward with courage, discernment, and unwavering trust in divine protection. Mary, undoer of knots, mother who walks with her children through the most confusing seasons of life, I ask you to look upon the knots formed not only by problems, but by exhaustion, emotional overload, and the weight of always having to be strong. There are days when my faith feels heavy and my heart feels tired, even though I continue to pray. Untie the knots of spiritual fatigue, inner pressure, and the feeling of being alone in responsibility. Teach me that resting in God is also an act of faith. Restore my interior balance and help me breathe again without fear or guilt. May your presence remind me that I am carried by grace, not sustained by my own strength. Saint Michael the Archangel, vigilant protector in moments of transition, stand beside me as I move from uncertainty toward clarity, from fear toward decision. Many of my knots are tied to choices I am afraid to make, paths I hesitate to take, and changes I resist because of past pain. With your heavenly authority, remove the fear that paralyzes my discernment and clouds my judgment. Help me recognize which doors must close so that others may open according to God's will. Guard me from impulsive decisions and from remaining stuck out of fear. May your guidance give me firmness, wisdom, and peace to move forward with confidence. Mary, Mother of silence and trust, I surrender to you the knots created by words never spoken, emotions repressed, and needs ignored for too long. Untie the knots of internal conflict that arise when I silence my pain to please others or carry burdens that were never meant to be mine. Teach me healthy surrender, not resignation. Help me place limits where needed and speak truth with love. Restore my dignity, my inner voice, and my emotional freedom. May my heart learn to rest in truth rather than survive in silence, trusting that God sees what others overlook. Saint Michael, guardian of spiritual clarity, protect me from self-sabotage, confusion, and patterns that repeat without healing. Many knots persist because of habits, mindsets, and fears that I have carried unconsciously. With the light of heaven, reveal what needs to be transformed within me. Give me courage to break cycles that no longer align with God's purpose. Strengthen my will to choose life, growth, and renewal even when it feels uncomfortable. May my inner transformation prepare the way for the external breakthroughs I await. Mary, undoer of knots, I place into your hands the knots of expectation, frustration, and comparison that steal my joy. Untie the desire to control outcomes and the impatience that arises when answers take longer than I desire. Teach me to live this season fully, without bitterness or resentment. Help me trust that God is working even when nothing seems to change. May my heart learn to hope without anxiety and to wait without despair, confident that every knot is being loosened at the right moment. Saint Michael, faithful companion on the path of perseverance, remain close to me as I continue this journey of faith. Help me stay alert, disciplined, and spiritually grounded while heaven works in silence. Guard my heart from discouragement and my mind from distraction. Prepare me to recognize the signs of God's action as they begin to appear. Lead me forward with steady steps, courage, and trust, knowing that what is unfolding now will soon become testimony. Mary, undoer of knots, Mother who sees beyond appearances, I bring before you the knots created by long-standing delays, unanswered requests, and doors that remain closed despite all my efforts and prayers. These situations have tested my patience and challenged my trust, making me question my own worth and direction. I ask you now to untangle the knots of frustration and disappointment that slowly erode my hope. Touch the areas of my life where stagnation has become routine and progress feels impossible. Renew my ability to believe again, even after repeated setbacks. Help me understand that God's silence is not absence, but preparation. May my heart remain open and expectant, trusting that movement is already beginning beneath what seems still. Saint Michael the Archangel, strong defender in moments of resistance, I call upon you to confront every force that actively opposes God's will in my life. There are battles I do not fully see, spiritual resistances that delay answers and drain my strength. Stand before these obstacles with the authority of heaven and remove what blocks my path. Cut through every chain of stagnation, spiritual inertia, and fear of moving forward. Protect me from discouragement that whispers surrender and retreat. Strengthen my resolve so I do not abandon the process before the breakthrough arrives. May your presence restore momentum, clarity, and courage to advance with confidence. Mary, Mother of mercy and restoration, I place into your hands the knots connected to relationships marked by distance, misunderstanding, and unresolved pain. Untie the knots of resentment, silence, pride, and emotional walls that have grown over time. Heal what words could not fix and soften hearts hardened by disappointment. Where reconciliation is possible, open paths of dialogue and peace. Where separation is necessary, grant acceptance and inner healing. Free me from emotional bonds that no longer reflect love or truth. May my relationships be purified, balanced, and aligned with God's design for mutual respect, growth, and peace. Saint Michael, guardian of truth and righteousness, protect me from manipulation, false intentions, and hidden conflicts that affect my personal and professional life. Do not allow deceit, jealousy, or injustice to gain influence over my future. Reveal what needs to be exposed and dismantle what is built on falsehood. Surround me with honest people and right connections that support God's purpose. Defend my integrity, my efforts, and my perseverance. May every unjust barrier collapse and every rightful opportunity find its way to me. Let justice prevail where there has been delay and confusion. Mary, undoer of knots, I entrust to you the knots of fear related to change, uncertainty, and the unknown. Many times I cling to what is familiar, even when it no longer brings peace, because fear of the unknown feels overwhelming. Untie these knots gently and replace them with courage, trust, and openness to God's new plans. Teach me to release what no longer serves my growth and to welcome transformation without anxiety. Help me step forward without constantly looking back. May my heart be free to receive new beginnings with faith rather than fear. Saint Michael, steadfast protector on the path of transformation, walk with me as I step into new seasons and unfamiliar territory. Guard me against hesitation, second-guessing, and fear of failure. Strengthen my spiritual discipline so I remain rooted in prayer and discernment. Help me recognize God's guidance clearly and respond with obedience and trust. Prepare me for the doors that will open and give me wisdom to walk through them at the right time. May I advance with confidence, protected by heaven, and sustained by unwavering faith. Mary, undoer of knots, mother who never abandons her children in moments of despair, I come before you carrying the knots born from exhaustion, disappointment, and the feeling that my strength is running out. There are days when my prayers feel heavy and my hope feels fragile, even though I continue to believe. I ask you now to untie the knots of weariness that cloud my faith and weaken my perseverance. Touch my heart and renew my interior strength so that I may continue without collapsing under the weight of waiting. Help me trust not only in the miracle I seek, but also in the process that prepares me to receive it. May your maternal presence restore my peace and remind me that heaven is attentive to every tear I shed. Saint Michael the Archangel, powerful defender in times of intense spiritual battle, I invoke your presence against every force that seeks to exhaust my spirit and drain my courage. There are moments when discouragement feels relentless and resistance seems constant. Stand beside me and repel every spirit of oppression, confusion, and spiritual fatigue. Strengthen my soul so I may not surrender to fear or despair. Guard my thoughts from negativity and my heart from hopelessness. Help me rise again when I feel weak and remain firm when circumstances attempt to break me. May your heavenly strength become my support when my own strength fails. Mary, mother of perseverance and silent faith, I place into your hands the knots tied to delayed promises and expectations that have not yet been fulfilled. Untie the frustration that arises when time passes and nothing seems to change. Teach me to wait without bitterness and to trust without resentment. Remove the temptation to compare my journey with that of others and help me focus on the unique path God has prepared for me. May patience grow within me as a virtue, not a burden. Let my heart learn to rest in hope, confident that what is meant for me will arrive at the perfect moment. Saint Michael, guardian of inner strength and discipline, protect me from the temptation to give up when the road becomes difficult. Help me resist thoughts of abandonment and discouragement that weaken my faith. Teach me to remain vigilant in prayer and steadfast in trust. Remove every internal resistance that keeps me from fully surrendering to God's will. Strengthen my determination so I may continue walking even when the path feels long and uncertain. Let perseverance become my shield and faith my foundation. May I advance with resilience, knowing that every step brings me closer to victory. Mary, undoer of knots, I entrust to you the knots of inner conflict that arise between fear and faith, doubt and hope, control and surrender. Untie these knots gently and restore harmony within my soul. Help me align my thoughts, emotions, and actions with God's will. Heal the inner divisions that drain my peace and scatter my focus. Teach me to trust fully without needing constant reassurance. May my heart remain anchored in faith even when circumstances fluctuate. Let your gentle guidance bring unity and calm to my interior life. Saint Michael, faithful protector on the path of endurance, remain close to me as I continue this journey toward liberation and breakthrough. Guard my spirit from fatigue and my mind from distraction. Help me recognize the subtle signs of God's action even before the miracle becomes visible. Strengthen my resolve to remain faithful until the end. Prepare my heart to receive what heaven is unfolding in silence. May I walk forward with courage, perseverance, and unwavering trust, certain that divine victory is approaching. Mary, undoer of knots, gentle mother who understands the hidden struggles no one sees, I bring before you the knots formed by silent pressures, unspoken expectations, and the constant need to appear strong while my heart feels fragile. Many of these knots were not created by obvious failures, but by prolonged responsibility, self-demand, and fear of disappointing others. Untie the knots of emotional overload and inner tension that slowly steal my joy. Teach me that I do not need to carry everything alone and that surrender is not weakness but trust. Restore my ability to rest without guilt and to hope without anxiety. May your maternal care relieve my soul and remind me that God sustains me beyond my own limits. Saint Michael the Archangel, vigilant guardian of spiritual boundaries, stand watch over my inner life and protect me from influences that drain my energy and weaken my focus. There are battles that unfold quietly within, battles of thought, intention, and will that often go unnoticed. With your heavenly authority, help me establish clarity, discipline, and spiritual order within my mind and heart. Drive away confusion, inner chaos, and disorientation. Strengthen my ability to choose what leads to peace rather than exhaustion. May your presence bring structure, stability, and renewed spiritual strength to my daily walk. Mary, Mother of discernment and peace, I entrust to you the knots tied to indecision, hesitation, and fear of making the wrong choice. Many times I remain stuck not because doors are closed, but because fear prevents me from moving forward. Untie the knots of overthinking and inner conflict that paralyze my actions. Teach me to listen attentively to God's voice and to move with confidence when clarity is given. Remove the anxiety of needing absolute certainty and replace it with trust in divine guidance. May my steps be steady, courageous, and aligned with God's will. Saint Michael, protector against spiritual distraction, guard me from losing focus during this season of waiting and transformation. Help me resist discouragement, impatience, and the temptation to abandon prayer when results are not immediate. Strengthen my discipline so I may remain faithful even in silence. Keep my heart alert to the subtle movements of grace that unfold day by day. May perseverance become natural to me and trust grow stronger with each challenge. Let my spirit remain anchored in hope, confident that God is actively working on my behalf. Mary, undoer of knots, I place into your hands the knots of expectation that burden my heart with timelines and outcomes I try to control. Untie the need to foresee every step and outcome before moving forward. Teach me to live fully in the present moment while trusting the future to God. Help me release impatience and embrace divine timing without resistance. May my heart learn to wait with peace rather than tension. Let joy return even before the miracle arrives, as a sign of faith that trusts completely in heaven's plan. Saint Michael, faithful companion in seasons of endurance, remain close to me as I continue walking this path of faith. Guard my spirit from weariness and my mind from distraction. Prepare me to recognize the breakthroughs that are approaching and to receive them with humility and gratitude. Strengthen me to remain consistent in prayer and steadfast in trust. Lead me forward with courage and calm assurance, knowing that what is being prepared now will soon become testimony and praise. Mary, undoer of knots, Mother who never ceases to work in silence, I come before you now with the knots that have resisted time, prayer, and effort, situations that seem immovable and deeply rooted. These are the knots that make me feel powerless, the ones I no longer know how to explain or resolve. I place them entirely into your hands, trusting that what exceeds my understanding does not exceed your maternal care. Untie the knots of impossibility, hopelessness, and resignation that threaten to settle in my heart. Renew my ability to believe beyond what I see and feel. May my faith rise above circumstances and remain firm even when everything appears unchanged. Saint Michael the Archangel, supreme defender in moments of final resistance, I call upon you now to confront every stronghold that refuses to fall and every barrier that stands against God's purpose in my life. There are struggles that intensify just before victory, and I ask you to stand firmly beside me in this decisive moment. Break every last chain of spiritual opposition, fear, and stagnation. Protect me from retreating at the threshold of breakthrough. Strengthen my courage so I may remain steadfast until the victory is fully revealed. May your heavenly authority dismantle every resistance and open the way forward. Mary, Mother of total surrender, I entrust to you the knots connected to control, impatience, and the need to understand everything before trusting. Untie my resistance to surrender and teach me to place my entire life in God's hands without fear. Help me release outcomes, timelines, and expectations that weigh heavily on my soul. Replace anxiety with serenity and restlessness with peace. May my heart learn to trust deeply, even in uncertainty. Let surrender become my strength and obedience my refuge, knowing that God's plan is greater than my own. Saint Michael, guardian of perseverance and obedience, protect me from the temptation to abandon prayer, faith, or discipline when the waiting becomes uncomfortable. Strengthen my will so I may remain faithful even when answers delay. Guard me from spiritual distractions that pull me away from God's presence. Help me maintain clarity, focus, and spiritual consistency. May I not grow weary in doing good or lose heart along the way. Let perseverance mature my faith and prepare me fully for what heaven is about to release. Mary, undoer of knots, I place into your hands the knots of fear related to final outcomes, fearing disappointment or loss even before the miracle arrives. Untie these knots gently and replace them with trust and peace. Heal my heart from past disappointments that still influence my expectations. Teach me to hope freely without guarding my heart against joy. May I open myself completely to God's grace without fear of being hurt again. Let faith expand within me and expectation be purified by trust rather than anxiety. Saint Michael, faithful protector at the edge of victory, remain beside me as I approach the fulfillment of God's promises. Guard my heart from pride, fear, or confusion as doors begin to open. Prepare me to receive blessings with humility and gratitude. Help me recognize God's hand in every detail and remain grounded in faith. Lead me safely into the season that is unfolding, strengthened by prayer and protected by heaven. May I cross this threshold with confidence, peace, and unwavering trust in divine providence. Mary, undoer of knots, as this prayer reaches its final petitions, I place into your hands every remaining concern that I could not put into words, every silent cry hidden deep within my soul. You know the knots that even I struggle to name, the burdens I carry quietly, and the fears I sometimes hide behind faith. I trust that nothing escapes your maternal gaze and that every detail of my life is known to you. Continue untying what remains entangled, even when I do not yet perceive it. Work silently and powerfully in the areas still wounded or unresolved. May your intercession bring order, healing, and peace to everything that still feels disorganized within me. Saint Michael the Archangel, I thank you for standing beside me throughout this spiritual battle, and I now ask you to seal every grace released through this prayer. Protect what God has begun and ensure that no force may reverse or weaken what heaven has already decreed. Place your shield over my mind, my heart, and my decisions so that I may walk forward without fear. Guard me from spiritual backlash, confusion, or discouragement after this moment of prayer. Strengthen my faith so I may remain vigilant and grounded. Let the victory achieved in prayer manifest fully in my daily life. Mary, Mother of the Church, I unite my prayer with the intentions of the entire Catholic family praying alongside me at this very moment. Receive the petitions of all who are suffering from locked situations, delayed answers, and prolonged struggles. Intercede for families, marriages, finances, health, vocations, and inner peace. May your maternal love reach every heart that feels forgotten or unheard. Bring comfort to those who are tired and hope to those who feel close to giving up. Let this prayer become a channel of grace not only for me, but for all who trust in your intercession. Saint Michael, defender of the faithful, I ask you to reinforce my spiritual defenses so that I may continue walking in God's will after this prayer ends. Teach me to remain disciplined in prayer, faithful in obedience, and humble in victory. Help me recognize spiritual dangers before they approach and guide me away from paths that do not lead to God. Strengthen my discernment so I may choose wisely and walk confidently. Let my life reflect the protection and authority of heaven. May I always stand firm under your guidance and protection. Mary, undoer of knots, I thank you in advance for the knots you are already untying and the doors that are beginning to open. Even before I see the results, I choose gratitude over doubt and trust over fear. Teach me to wait with patience and confidence, knowing that God's timing is perfect. Help me remain peaceful during the unfolding process and attentive to the signs of grace along the way. May my faith grow stronger as I wait and my hope remain alive. Let thanksgiving replace anxiety as I rest in divine providence. Saint Michael the Archangel, together with Mary Most Holy, I place this prayer before the throne of God with humility and confidence. May every word spoken here be aligned with His will and every intention purified by His love. I ask that the fruits of this prayer remain active and protected over time. Seal this moment with heavenly peace and spiritual strength. May God be glorified through every breakthrough that follows. All of this I ask with faith, reverence, and trust in the power of intercession. Many people who prayed with faith in moments like this later returned to testify that what was locked for years began to move, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, but always with clear signs of God's hand. Situations that seemed impossible started to unravel. Doors once sealed opened, and peace replaced anxiety. These testimonies remind us that God is never late and never indifferent to sincere prayer. If you are here now, praying until the end, this is already a sign that grace is at work in your life. Trust that what you placed before Mary and Saint Michael today has been received in heaven. Hold on to faith even before the visible answer appears. As a declaration of faith, I proclaim that every knot presented in this prayer is being untied according to God's perfect will. I declare that spiritual blockages are losing their strength and that divine order is being restored. I affirm that fear no longer has authority over my heart and that hope is being renewed. What was stagnant begins to move, what was confusing becomes clear, and what was delayed aligns with God's timing. This is not the end of the journey, but the beginning of a new spiritual chapter. May faith guide every step forward from this moment on. Now, as a Catholic community united in prayer, I invite you to strengthen this mission by supporting the channel Holy Catholic Prayers. If this prayer touched your heart, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss moments of grace like this. Activate the notification bell so you are alerted whenever a new prayer is released. These simple actions help this prayer reach more souls who are also facing locked situations. Together, we evangelize by spreading hope, faith, and God's mercy. I also invite you to participate actively by leaving a comment as a sign of faith and unity. Write the phrase, "My knots are in God's hands," and share the city or country from where you are watching. This is a powerful way to publicly affirm your trust and connect with other Catholic believers around the world. Your comment becomes a silent testimony of faith and encouragement to others. Let us build a prayerful community where no one walks alone. Your presence here truly matters. If this prayer resonated with you, stay with us for the next moment of grace prepared especially for you. On the final screen, you will see another powerful prayer that continues this spiritual journey, addressing the next step God wants to work in your life. Do not leave now, because what comes next may be exactly what your heart needs. Allow God to keep speaking to you through prayer and reflection. Continue walking with us in faith, trusting that heaven is guiding every step. May the blessing of Almighty God remain upon you, protecting your path and strengthening your faith. May Mary, undoer of knots, continue working silently in your life, and may Saint Michael the Archangel guard you in every battle. Carry this peace with you and remember that you are never alone. God sees, God acts, and God remains faithful. Stay firm, stay prayerful, and remain connected with Holy Catholic prayers as we continue this journey together.